All right, here we are back in the IDE. I've already typed in the prompt, so we will go over this. One thing we're going to try, previously we split the triage step into two different prompts. The first one to add all the models, and then the second one to implement the actual agentic step. We're going to try to do all of that at once now. We will activate plan mode. So click on this down here if you haven't already. And that way we can review the plan before we proceed to the implementation. So let's go over this prompt. So implement the extraction step following the same pattern as triage step. It's always good when you wanted to follow a particular pattern to just remind it of that. And Claude Code is really good at following patterns once they exist in the codebase. Tends to get easier and easier over time once the foundation is set. So the purpose of the step is to extract structured business insights from articles that passed triage. Each article should yield an article insight containing, right? So just like the diagram we looked at, the article insight contains business signals, and we describe what this means. I'm also suggesting specific fields because I kind of know what has worked well, what we're working towards, so I might as well include this here. But on your own project, you could also leave this out, keep it open-ended, see what it suggests in the implementation plan, and then maybe iterate a little bit based on that. So there's no wrong way to do this, but we are suggesting headline, description, and signal type as fields. And then for market facts, we'll keep it really simple. We'll include stat and context. For the data model approach, we're explicitly telling it that business signal base and market fact base are Pydantic only models, so they're not tables, and they just define the structure of each signal on fact. Article insight base contains lists of these as the LLM output structure. Article insight, I have a copy and paste issue here, so let's fix this. Remove these backslashes. And you don't need backticks about them. I like to use them for sort of actual code quotes, but it'll figure it out just fine if you use regular text. All right, so article insight table stores the lists as JSON fields, plus the usual ID, article ID, run ID, created at. So that's fine. Step implementation. So we load articles that passed triage but don't have insights yet. Process in batches 10 articles per batch, since extraction needs more context than triage. Use the same UUID to index mapping pattern. That's important. And here we tell it to use the Gemini 2.5 Flash model, which is more capable than Flash Lite, but still cost-effective. Finally, update AI model factory and add repository methods, create Alembic migration, add update tests, and reference Claude.md for conventions. Okay, so let's kick this off. All right, so here we see Claude's plan. Actually, looks like they updated the UI for this. The plan always used to show up in the sidebar here. Now it looks like they use a separate edit field. I actually like that much better. It's a much nicer way to read. Also makes it easier to write in comments if you have any feedback. So, oh, and you can even... Oh, I love this. It looks... Sorry, I'm a little bit excited here. I hadn't seen this update yet. This is actually very similar to what Google Anti-Gravity did. And that's one of the things I really liked about that tool. So you can select text and then add a comment inline. That's so much nicer than just typing everything in afterwards. So I'm really impressed with how quickly Claude Code keeps iterating. I realize that means that, part of this course will be outdated pretty quickly, but I think that's a good problem to have. All the foundation will absolutely be valid, right? But chances are you'll have a lot more useful tools at your disposal very soon. So that's pretty nice. All right. So, plan, implement, extraction step, context. The pipeline currently has fetch and triage steps. The extraction step is the next in the pipeline. It takes articles that pass triage and extracts structured business insights, signals, and market facts from each one. This follows the same batch processing pattern as triage step. Okay, I won't read all of this, don't worry. Files to modify, these are the usual suspects, right? Our models, repositories, steps, AI models. That makes sense. Yeah, it already added this last time, I remember. Register the extraction step in the command line interface. We'll add tests. We have a new Alembic migration. Claude should already be updated because, the provided Claude MD already mentions all of these steps and what they're for. Okay, data models. See if it correctly understood what we're asking for with these nested lists. So we have business signal base. We have a headline, a description, and a signal type. For type, it suggests consumer shift, pain point, technology opportunity, regulatory change, or demographic trend. So that's in line with what we prompted. So that all sounds good. I can actually close this to make a bit more space. Market fact base. That looks good as well. Article insight base. So we're referencing an article ID. Article insight base looks good too. So we are referencing the article that this insight relates to. And then we have a list of business signals and a list of market facts. Okay, and then we have the article insight table class that adds the ID fields and created at. And it's telling us here that business signals and market facts are lists on the Pydantic side. And for the article insight table, override these fields with SA column equals column JSON to store them as JSON in SQLite. If you were using Postgres, you might want to use JSONB, which is a more efficient format than the plain text version, JSON, but both will work fine. So this, looks like it should do the right thing. Article insight base is the LLM output type. Now there's one thing that it's not doing here. We'll see how it handles that. It'll probably do the same thing it did for the triage step, because it can't directly use the article insight base as the LLM output type, because we need to do the ID, the index to UUID mapping and back. So it'll probably end up using a different inner class for that again. But I think we can just have it take a step and then correct if needed. Repository looks good. So similar to what we did before, we now have get articles pending extraction. And this looks up all articles that don't have a article insight yet. A new article insight repository with a create many function. And then we have the actual extraction step. Batch size 10. It's using a constant, so that's always good. System prompt, persona of a market research analyst extracting business signals and market facts. That's perfect. Here we go. Internal models. So we have indexed insight and batch result. That's what I was looking for. So that'll work fine. Load inputs calls this repository method. Process in batches of 10. Uses UUID to index mapping. Sends full article body. Let's tweak this. Persist. Okay, what I'm going to do is this will work fine. It just means that some articles might be ridiculously long, and in that case, we might still want to truncate them. So, and this will give me a chance to try out this new comment feature. We're going to say truncate to 3,000 characters. Let's make it 3,500. Okay, nice. So now it's marked here. I can probably hover over this, truncate to 3,500 characters. Very nice. Persisted, print some stats. So just to make sure, I'll update this as well. it'll probably infer that. But let's be explicit, add that same comment here, truncate to 3,500. Okay, Alembic migration, tests, testing the new repository functions, and then verification. And I like how it's respecting that, it'll run the tests, it'll run the migration, and then it'll suggest that I, the user, run the actual pipeline. Again, that's my preference because I want to control costs and don't want to just have stuff appear in the database without me being aware of that. Depending on the project, you might want to give it more control because Claude is actually pretty good at looking at the output and then sort of course correcting itself. So there's pros and cons to both approaches. Okay, we'll open this up again and see, so since I added comments, it's actually listing those in here. Now I can send feedback and keep planning, so I will do that. I really like this new UI, so that's a nice improvement. It'll probably just do a very minor tweak to the plan. So if we go back here, so here, 3,500 characters. All right, very good. And we will accept and auto accept. Okay, Claude just finished. Took a couple minutes as usual. Looks like it did everything according to plan. So let's take a quick look at the diffs in here, and then we're going to run it. Migration. So we have article insights table. We have the JSON fields here for business signals and market facts. That all looks good. In the command line interface, we just added the new step. Models. So we have our business signal base with the fields that we wanted. We have the market fact base, article insights base, and then the article insight table. And here it overrode business signals and market facts to be JSON columns. So that looks perfect. Repositories, I'm not expecting anything unusual here. Get articles pending extraction. And then the new article insights repository and just the create function for now. It'll probably add the get function later when we need it for the next step. We have a test for the repositories. Probably nothing unusual here either. And then the actual step implementation. Okay, so let's quickly scroll through it once. Okay, at first glance, I already like that it followed the same pattern as before after we corrected it, right? So remember for the triage step, it had initially kind of littered the file a little bit with some global constants and classes. Now it has everything here encapsulated inside the extraction step. So I like that. Let me actually open the full file here. It's a little bit easier to see. All right, so here's our system prompt. This is definitely worth paying some close attention to. You are a senior market research analyst at a venture capital firm. Your job is to extract structured business insights from news articles. For each article, identified by its index number, extract. Okay, business signals. It's basically listing all the different types of signals that we mentioned as examples. Consumer shifts, pain points, technology opportunities, regulatory changes, demographic trends. That looks great. Each signal needs a short headline, a detailed description, and a signal type. One-off, consumer shift, pain points, blah, blah, blah. Market facts, concrete statistics useful for market sizing, such as revenue figures, growth rates, user counts, market share percentages. Each fact needs the stat itself and context explaining its relevance. Looks good too. it is acceptable. I like that. It's very explicit about this. So that probably prevents the LLM from just hallucinating some crap if there isn't anything useful in there. So it is acceptable to return 0 signals or 0 facts for an article if none are present. Focus on quality over quantity. I think that's a great addition to the prompt. You will receive articles as a numbered list. Return 1 set of insights per article, referencing articles by their index number. Yeah, that looks like a really, really solid system prompt. Very nice and explicit. So then here, very similar to what we did with the triage step, we now have this indexed insight. That's essentially the same thing as the article insight that we had before, except that this one uses the index to reference articles. So there's a little bit of duplication, but it really doesn't matter. And it's a nice clean way to solve this. And then we have the batch result that wraps all of this in a list, since we're processing 10 of these at a time. AI model factory looks good as well. Loading the inputs. That's basically just calling this repository function. And let's see. So it follows the exact same pattern. It created this private function format batch prompt. So let's actually scroll down there. And it also remembered my previous improvement request to make sure that there is at least a short user prompt. So please extract business insights from these articles. And then we basically have this article representation where each article has its index, article title, and then the article body truncated to 3,500 characters. So that looks good. And then basically once it gets the results, it performs the reverse mapping to get the article ID again, and then creates article insights from that. And those then get persisted here. So this all looks nice and clean.